For those of you who've watched my Q&A video, and if you haven't, why haven't you watched it yet? It's funny, informative, and handsome. We're getting off topic. In that video, I talked about my top 5 games from E3. Number 5, For Honor. Consider me skeptically excited about this game. From everything I've seen, the combat is going to be based on different stances and how they match your opponents. This is cool in theory, but I need to get my own hands on it to ensure it won't boil down to a fancy QTE fest. If they can deliver on it though, ho ho ho! Well, thanks to the amazing support you all have shown me in the channel, Ubisoft contacted me to play the alpha of the game. I want to disclose fully that this video is sponsored by Ubisoft, but that doesn't mean it's going to affect my opinion in any way. I'll feel free to give this game my brutally honest opinion, which fortunately I won't have to do because I freaking loved it. The easiest way I can summarize it is that it's similar to Souls PvP, but it feels a little bit more polished and less based around a specific build and more on your fast twitch reaction. But we'll get there. I'm going to take you step by step through my experience with the alpha. To start, you get another glimpse of the epic trailer from E3. If you haven't seen it already, there will be annotations at the end of the video to lead you to the full thing. Once it concludes, you get to choose from 3 factions. First is the Knights, who seem to be the classy bunch of the 3. Then you've got the Vikings, who are, well, Vikings, they're brutes. Then there's the Samurai, the respectable hands of foreign lands. I went with the Samurai personally, though this choice didn't seem to affect the game in any way, as I was still able to choose heroes from all 3 groups. After choosing a faction, you get to customize your emblem. This is reminiscent of the Call of Duty Black Ops emblem if you're familiar, and I enjoyed customizing mine to represent praising the sun. Now we're gonna jump into practice mode to learn the mechanics of the game. Let me just say one thing first though. These graphics look incredible. I played the alpha on PS4 and I was blown away by the quality and detail. It all looks so smooth in motion, the environments are very vibrant, and your character looks spectacular. The combat itself is just as fluid as the animation. I was worried originally that the use of stances would make the combat feel very QuickTime event-like, but that's not it at all. The way it works is you have 3 stances: the right stance, the left stance, and the forward stance. To block, you must match the stance your opponent is attacking from, and to successfully land an attack, you must attack one of the 2 positions opposite of your opponent. In between this, you must manage your stamina effectively and balance between choosing the fast but lesser damaging light attacks with R1 and the slow but punishing R2 heavy attacks. Sound familiar? In a lot of ways, it does remind me of Souls PvP, but dare I say that it actually feels more fun? I'm not sure exactly what it is, but the balance between stances, stamina, HP, and light and heavy attacks makes the whole thing feel like a chess match going at light speed. Those with quick reflexes are massively rewarded. There's also other things like guard breaks, throws, dodging, and even executions on a fallen opponent a la fatalities from Mortal Kombat to spice things up. Now that we're done with practice, let's see what the game has to offer. As of the alpha build of the game, I had access to 3 different modes. All modes could be played either in private matches, you against the AI, or you against online random players. The first mode is Duel, or the 1v1 mode in the game. In this mode, you select 6 different heroes and battle it out in the best of 5 rounds. Not much other to say other than you get to test your mettle in a one-on-one battle. What I particularly like about this though is if you're a solo player, you have the option to just play against one other person. Many games don't give you this option, and maybe that's because it wouldn't work in those cases, but it's nice to have a dedicated one-on-one matchmaking type. Plus, this mode will finally let you settle that moment online where you're like, you are just trash at this game. Oh really? 1v1 me, mate. You're on, bro. And then you get to smack each other in the face with axes and swords. Awesome. The second mode is Brawl. This mode is just like Duel except you're playing 2v2. This may have actually been my favorite mode of the 3. What I like about it is that it's the same best of 5 format, and you have to count on your teammate to handle his opponent while you do the same. It puts pressure on you to perform, and it forces you to rely on the strength of your allies. It'll also be great for you and a buddy who want to play co-op style. The only downside is if you get stuck with a random who isn't so good, you'll find yourself in a lot of 2v1s, and those are not easy at all in this game. I only came close to clutching one once, and it was super challenging to even get that far. The last mode, and what will likely be the most popular, is Dominion. This is the ultimate 4-on-4 mode where you not only get to fight each other, but you get foot soldiers and objectives to capture. Using another example from Call of Duty, this is very similar to Domination in that game. You get points passively for objectives you hold. You also get points for slaying other players. Once the battle turns against one team, you get locked into battle where respawns are restricted for the losing team, and you must gain enough points quickly to re-enable spawns and turn the tide back in your favor. This mode was a heck of a lot of fun, but I will admit it was probably the one I personally enjoyed the least. Not because it wasn't entertaining, but I always find it difficult to play these types of modes successfully without team communication, and as of this time I was playing the alpha solo. What I do love about these modes as a whole is that they have something for everybody. You've got the 1v1s for solo players, you've got the 2v2s for co-op buddies or solo players that want to team up for more action, and you've got the 4v4 mode for teams of friends to jump into or solo players brave enough to test their mettle with randoms. And this is only the alpha, we've still got a story mode on the way for full release and maybe even more. As of right now, I'd say the alpha has more than enough content to keep me satisfied. During the alpha, I was able to test 6 different heroes. Mind you, 3 of them needed to be unlocked with the in-game steel currency, but I was provided with 1500 steel to unlock these heroes. The first I tested was Orochi. This was literally my first PvP experience, and I was absolutely dominating. Round 1, get wrecked. Round 2, who do you think you're messing with? Round 3, oh crap, oh crap, oh. Round 4, I am the filthy R1 spammer. Seriously though, Orochi is fast as lightning and has some great counter hits. The only real downside is the low HP, but if you can balance your blocking effectively with your quick closing speed, you'll take down most opponents quickly. The second was the Berserker. I wanted to try something more slow next, and man did I feel slow. Really though, the speed wasn't the issue. The issue was I went from a character with strong closing speed to one with terrible range. However, when I did get in close range, this character started to shine. It wasn't really my personal cup of tea, but I got wrecked quite a few times later on by this class. The third is Conqueror. Quite honestly, this might just be the best character in the game from my view. This is because he has very high HP and defense compared to his peers, and he still retains decent damage and range. In duels, this is useful because it'll give you a large margin of error. In 2v2s, if you have an ally you're confident in, you can simply stall against your opponent while the other is defeated, and you get an easy 2v1 round victory. Then in Dominion, his stalling capabilities can turn the tide of defending a point and allowing your respawn allies to close in for the assault. Of course, his low end damage does mean if you're adept at using your stances properly, you can outlast and defeat him, but it's by no means an easy feat. Fourth is Kensei, the character I played in practice. This is one of my favorite heroes aesthetically, and he's got a great set to boot. He's got possibly the best range in the game, very strong counterattacks, and some of the faster R1 combos I saw. I honestly didn't see too much of a downside to him, though I did get wrecked in 2v1s quite a bit. Fifth is the Raider, who is probably my personal favorite aesthetically and to play. He hits like a tank, but he has a bit of a slow hit rate. This was the point where I finally started to understand the balance of the combat though. You first have to learn how fast each character will attack, because if you both are one, you may trade damage or hit first depending on your hero. This will help you decide whether you should be attacking, blocking, or countering. You also have to take note of when your opponent goes for a heavy move, because many times using a quick R1 to stun them is better than blocking or dodging an attack that could crush you, like the Raider's massive R2 slam. Between all this, you have to manage your stamina effectively and make use of guard breaks. Your HP difference can also determine how risky you might want to play, or if you want to let your opponent fall into your hands with counters. As for the Raider himself, there's not much to say other than he's a high risk, high reward heavy hitter, but I enjoyed playing him a lot. Lastly is the Warden. Honestly, this guy seems like the most balanced of all of them. He's not too fast or slow, has pretty good range, and decent defense and HP. He seems like the jack of all trades, master of none. Overall, the heroes seem really balanced for an alpha, and they all fill different roles. Perhaps the only complaint I would lodge is the Conqueror's got a bit too high of defense, but honestly, a lot of times I just wasn't executing properly with my stances, so I'll have to dig more time in to really see how he stacks up. The last thing I want to talk about is the customization. I mentioned in the beginning that you can make a custom emblem. Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You actually get to customize nearly your entire hero's look. For starters, every time you win or lose a match, you get a chance to get an item as a reward. These can be armor pieces or weapon pieces. These can be used to give your hero an improved look and stats. One thing I'm so glad they included is the ability to transfer the looks of one item to another. This means when you do obtain that quote-unquote best gear in the game, you can transfer its stats to another piece of gear you like the look of better. This means more variety of appearances in the endgame and better ability for you to keep your unique style, which is fantastic. You also have the option to break down your old gear for XP. Each hero levels up separately, and leveling them gives more access to customization by adding emblems and embroideries around your armor, and it'll even give you access to abilities that can be used in Dominion, emotes, and more stylish executions. And lastly, you can use the steel urn from your matches to send your hero scavenging to get new and rare items. I absolutely love what they've done with the customization of these heroes, and it adds an extra layer to keep you coming back for more if the fun of the game wasn't enough to do that already. Like all multiplayer-focused games, the concern is always breadth of content, and for what I was offered in the alpha, I'm not sure it's enough to keep me personally playing beyond the first few months. Now let me just state my opinion on this as a whole. Personally, I'd rather have 10 hours with a 10 out of 10 game than 100 hours with an 8 out of 10 game. I know some people out there are going to value their money differently, but personally I'll always be willing to put priority on a superb experience over a good one. And from what I've seen in the alpha, this game looks like it's going to fall in that superb category. Is the multiplayer enough to keep me hooked for more than 40 to 50 hours? Maybe not, but if you want something to compare it against, I only played Overwatch for 40 to 50 hours before growing tired of it, and I would still rate that as at least a 9.5 out of 10 game that I was perfectly satisfied spending my $60 on. And keep in mind too that this is just an alpha build that isn't representative of the final product. There's going to be a single player campaign as well, and who knows what other exciting features might be added in the future before the game's release on February 14th, 2017. Yeah, that's right, for Valentine's Day you can brutally bash in some skulls. On the whole, this game appears to have something for everybody. Solo players are going to get that single player experience when it launches, and you've got 3 different game modes to choose from. And for those of you who are looking to dive in with friends, you've got the 2v2 brawls and 4v4 dominions to keep you occupied. One last thing I haven't mentioned is just how polished this whole alpha felt. After 4 or 5 hours of game time before writing this review, I didn't notice a single bug, which is pretty damn amazing. And this is only the in-progress build of the game. As it stands, you get a very nice chunk of content for all types of players, a great customization system to keep you coming back, a nice variety of heroes, and all that has me incredibly excited for this game's future. In my E3 video, I said I was tentatively excited until I got my hands on it. Well, I've gotten my hands on it, and now my only complaint is that I have to wait until Valentine's Day to play the full game. But if you want to get your hands on the game in the meantime, you've got the option of signing up for the beta. I've left a link in the description for you to follow to do just that. And once again, I want to mention that this video was sponsored by Ubisoft. On the whole, I would say my review of this game was very, very positive, but for those of you who've gotten to know me over the last year, I don't pull my punches. I'm honestly excited for this game, and if it weren't for each and every one of you out there, I never would have been lucky enough to do something this cool, so thank you. I also want to thank Ubisoft for sponsoring the video, as I am a huge fan of the majority of their games, and I'm looking forward to more of their titles in the future like Watch Dogs 2 and Steep. And of course, thank you all for watching. Much love to you all, and I'll see you very soon in the Demon's Souls area rankings.